Welcome to Film Riot. Before we get into today's episode, we are not in the office right now. Well, when this goes up, we won't be in the office. We're in LA prepping to shoot our brand new short film, which is the most ambitious short film we've ever done. We're shooting on the 12th, 13th, and 14th, so make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Link in the notes below. We're going to be posting the madness that will be going on. But as of today, you guys have asked us to do it again, so today we are doing it again. We are once again partnering with MZed, who are consistently awesome enough to help us give you guys some incredibly valuable educational deliciousness. If you don't know what MZed is, they're an online provider of education from extremely talented instructors and filmmakers like Alex Buono, who's worked on things like Documentary Now, SNL, Green Street Hooligans, Twister, and the list goes on. Today, he's covering how to shoot daytime exteriors. So now I'm going to shut up and let the knowledge begin.
I want to move on and talk about another visual style that I'm asked to shoot all the time. It's a big challenge for all of us, and that's working with day exteriors. There's an example where we've got these big, wide exteriors with all these 100 extras and all this. We've got to deal with it using bounce light. So for me, the number one way to deal with this without having to spend a fortune on lighting is by properly scouting your location. So the way that I would go about this, well, here's a shot from this location scout, the street that we were shooting on. We looked at a lot of different streets, and it was all about finding a street that's going to be giving us backlight the whole day. We want that beautiful, slick backlight. We're not going to lose it at noon or have it turn into front light on us. And for me, one of the most important things is a couple of scouting tools that I use in my phone. I've got two apps that I use called SUNSEEKER and HELIOS. Let's talk about HELIOS for a second. This is a fairly expensive app. It's $35. It has a lot of functionality. It gives you a lot of different sun tracking tools. You can go into a map view. This is the street that we were shooting on, this little kind of dead-end dog leg here. It can show me what directions the sun's coming from at any time of the day. It'll even show me a live view of the sun's path through the scene. You guys seen this before, this app? Some of you guys? I'm going to show you guys a live demonstration of this. So I'm going to just run my phone into the projector here really quick. We'll do a sun path view of, or actually a Helios view of this room. So here we are. Go into my virtual sun view. And there is the sun. So you can just track the sun from, in this case, it's going to rise over here. And it's going to just come through the sky like this. And then it's going to set over there. And you know exactly where it's going to be any time of the day. And if you're trying to just figure out, like, I need to get the sun in that narrow window between those two buildings, when is that going to happen? Okay, it's going to be right at, 3 in the afternoon or whatever. So it's super useful. SUNSEEKER does some similar things. It's a lot less expensive, not quite as powerful, but a lot of the same functions. We've scouted the location on the spot using these tools, and we've decided that, yeah, this location is going to totally work. So now we pull the trigger on the location, we go back to the office, and I will now do more of a sort of virtual scout. So I go into Google, I open it up in some kind of a map, and now for this kind of a scene, I'm dealing with like a full city block and coordination of extras and cars and movement and crew and all this. I want an overhead diagram that's a little more to scale and accurate than that one that we did for the group hopper thing. So I'm going to go into map view. I just have this little technique that I've sort of started doing where I'll, map, okay, well, that was the angle that we were looking at in, so let me spin this around. And then let me take this into Adobe Illustrator, bring the map into Illustrator, and then just draw some of these shapes and create a more realistic overhead diagram. And then I can get rid of the map, and now this is my street. That's the path of the sun during the day. These are the apartments that we've negotiated to be on their front stoop. A couple people walk through the front doors. So I've got Pete's apartment here. This is Bobby's apartment. Here comes Leslie's car crashing into those trash cans. There's Leslie walking out of the car. This is Woody's apartment. This is the car that he's going to stand on. Here come the police officers, Beck and Keenan. They're going to park their car right about there. And then here comes Pete walking down the street with his mob of stoners. And then we'll bring in a camera and get a shot over the shoulders of the cops at the mob. And that overhead diagram, to scale, looks like this shot. And so the question is, okay, well, how do you go about lighting that shot? Well, I'll show you how you light that shot. Here's a really easy way to light that shot. Boom, you're done. Fantastic. You set this sucker up, light the whole mob. Okay, I rarely am afforded the luxury of a gigantic light like this. A couple of reasons. There's one right there. It's pretty expensive. The light. Oh, but you got to pay for a stand. And then there's a generator. And then there's distro to pay for. Oh, and then the 2 electrics to mount it. Pretty soon you're in the land of 25 to 3 grand just to set up that one light, which I don't very often get to do. And so in a scene like that, where we've properly scouted it and we're going to have backlight all day, we're just going to bounce return that light. And so in a scene like that, I would bring in a bounce off camera from one side, and I'd probably bring in a little bit from behind the camera as well, and I'd leave this other side to go a little darker and create a little more natural contrast. But the question is, what am I using? What bounce material? Because it's not all the same, and there's different bounce materials for different requirements. We talked this morning about muslin. The question is, what do you need? On a scale from soft light to hard light, what are you looking for? What are the requirements for your scene? We talked about muslin. Bleached muslin is one of my favorite bounce materials. It's so soft and cosmetic, flattering. You got to get it pretty close to the subject. It's very soft. It's not going to push light very far. It's very easy to look at. And this is a big consideration when you're using bounce light with actors. You got to think about how easy is this going to be to act in front of? Are you going to be blinding them? Are they going to be focusing on not squinting, which is not fair to do to them? A bleached muslin is very easy to look into. It's a very soft light. It's not pinging bright reflected light in your eyes. A clay coat is similar. It's a little more punchy, but it's easy to look into. A clay coat is, these are all fabrics. It's 18% gray. So it's like an off-white. It's not like zinging light in your eyes. It's easy to look into. It's still reflective. The next up on the softness to hardness scale, I'd say, is probably a beadboard, little 4x4 bounce. We use these all the time. Walk with an actor on a walk and talk shot. And then I'd say an ultra bounce would be next. Pretty reflective material, super useful to you're on set and you're in the shade, and 20 yards away you've got a patch of sunlight. So let's run an ultra bounce back there and push some light back into the scene. It's still going to be pretty soft. Next up is a Grifflon. Grifflon I'm not a big fan of. It's a plastic-coated fabric. I feel like you can always see the plasticky sheen in the skin. But sometimes a Grifflon is a great choice because a Grifflon is weatherproof. It's waterproof. You can take it out in the rain. You can take it out into a situation that you think you're going to get rained on. And then when it starts raining, you can table it. Everyone can hide under it because it's like a tent. Next up, I'd look at a silver lame. Silver lame is a soft fabric like the inside of a silver umbrella. Not a natural light source. I mean, it doesn't feel like reality. It feels very stylized, high fashion. It's really cool for a fashion shoot, for a music video. You feel that specular, shiny light in the skin, can look really sexy. I would not have used that on this spot. Sometimes it's actually really cool to feel like a sort of slightly silvery, like northern light look, like we're shooting like a mountain scene or something. And sometimes I've had a lot of success taking a silver lame and using it as a book light and bouncing it into like a shower curtain or a half-soft frost and creating this kind of slightly silvery, crisp, like high-altitude looking light. And then you would have a reflector and a mirror. They sort of go hand in hand. You get a 4x4 that's got a reflector on one side, a mirror on the other. And this is not like a super low budget, we don't have anything else type of tool. Everybody uses reflectors and mirrors. They're super useful. If you've got a patch of sunlight 50 yards away, take a mirror over there, shoot it back into the set, fire it through a frame of diffusion. That is your 18K, and it's free. So don't overlook how valuable a reflector and a mirror is. Just probably diffuse it. So in this case, what did we use? We have a clay coat right off set. Easy to look into, creating that slightly underexposed shadow side, returning that backlight. Well, we don't always bounce everything. Here's an example from the same spot where we were just hand-holding a 4x4 of diffusion to create this little patch of shade for Woody to step up into. I'm going to point out a technique here that has nothing to do with bounce light, but it's a great example from this spot here, the concept of the French over. Here we are on set. I'm shooting into this glorious backlight. And when I need to reverse on these cops, what's going to happen? They're suddenly going to be standing in this ugly front light. You're going to cut those shots together, and they're going to be realistic. You know, one guy's in backlight, one guy's in front light, but it's not going to feel very good. It's not going to feel like this glossy, kind of romantic vibe that you see all the time where everybody's in backlight and two people looking at each other, they're both in backlight. That's impossible. And yet we all buy it. It doesn't bother anybody. In fact, it feels better because it's the same contrast and the same vibe. And so you're constantly shooting in the same direction to get backlight for everybody. Now, in this case, my problem was that here's all my production vehicles, and we're running out of light. It's the end of the day. I don't have time to move all of my vehicles and my base camp and everybody out of the shot so that I can reverse the camera. So I just reverse the set, and I just keep shooting in the same exact direction. I don't think you can tell. In a lot of situations, especially if you're going into close-ups, you can't tell. And it just keeps the lighting continuity the same. So here's our shot. Here's our reverse. They're shooting in the same exact direction. You can tell I was losing the light here because I had to bring in a little light to light up their faces. This would have been a 1.8K HMI. A small HMI, you can plug it into house power, you can plug it into a putt-putt generator. Very efficient light. This would have been like an Airy M18. Super efficient light, small, plenty of light to just pop into their faces.
Domain.com has all your website needs, including .com and .net domain names and intuitive website builders to help you take the first steps in creating an identity online. They're affordable, reliable, and have all the tools you need to get started. You can start sharing your ideas with the world on a professional website. No domain name extension is going to help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name, and if you want to brand yourself online, Domain.com has over 300 domain name extensions to fit your needs, from .club to .space. And they love you, and to show that love, they're giving you 15% off their already affordable prices when you get domain names, web hosting, and email. Just use the coupon code FilmRiot at Domain.com's checkout. And when you think domain names, think Domain.com.
Logo.
Again, a huge thank you to MZed for helping us bring this content to you guys. And if you dug this, definitely check out their site. They have a pretty incredible list of classes from really talented creators. You could buy the classes outright or do a subscription for only $299 a year. So definitely check that out. It is beyond worth the money. But that's it for today. I'll see you guys next time when I can low-key move stuff with my mind, but like, I've got a play to do.